Hello. In this video, we'll continue with our gross income set of problems, and this is problem 4. In year 1, Peach found a valuable ruby. Peach was on the beach going and doing some metal detecting, and all of a sudden, Peach comes across a valuable ruby, which is appraised at $5,000. Here's what the ruby looks like right here. Now, that was in the year it was discovered in year 1. She sold the ruby in year 3 for $5,000, although in that year it was appraised for $6,000, so it actually was worth more, but again, she sold it for $5,000. So we're focusing on gross income. And again, whenever we look at gross income, we go through our 5 checklist questions: what amount of gross income, what amount of deductions or credits, who has those items, when are they recorded, and finally the character. We're focusing on gross income, so we need to focus on what amount of gross income, when, and who. Now, again, Code Section 61 deals with the definition of gross income. It says income from whatever source derived, so very broad language. So we look to the Supreme Court case of Glenshaw Glass. And in that case, the Supreme Court states that gross income is, a taxpayer has gross income when there's an undeniable accession to wealth, which is viewed as net worth has increased, which means your assets minus your liabilities have gone up. There is a realization event, clearly realization, so there's a legally severable event. And finally, there's dominion and control, which I abbreviate as D and C. So we have to go through all of those items. Now, with respect to net worth, we're looking specifically at Peach. Peach is the only person here. So who, we're looking at Peach. The when, well, we have the year it's found, year 1, as well as potential for year 3, when Peach sells the ruby. We have to worry about those years. So Peach finds it in year 1, which potentially could have gross income implications, but then Peach sells it in year 3, which potentially could have gross income. And we've seen in previous videos, previous problems, that let's say between year 2 the value goes up to $5,500, right? In between, well, you don't have to worry about the appraisal amount because the realization, there is no severable event. She still has the ruby. And finally, the what is, again, whether we actually have the gross income from our Glenshaw Glass definition. So in terms of net worth, it's easy whether you're looking at year 1 or year 3 to see net worth. If you're looking at year 1, before, Peach does not have any ruby. After, Peach does have a ruby, which means that's an asset, right? That's an economic benefit. That's an asset. Same in year 3. Before, Peach has, if you're looking at it in that year, Peach has, again, nothing, because nothing has been recorded yet if you look at year 3. After, Peach now has $5,000 cash, or the ruby, if you're looking at from that angle. So yes, net worth is met. Assets have gone up, right? Assets have gone up for the ruby, for the amount of the ruby. Okay, realization event. Realization. Do we actually have realization? Now, this one is important to understand. Services, anything that has a service component, automatically has realization. Because, and the best way to think about this is a very, it's a very, I would say, economic viewpoint. It's somewhat theoretical. But the idea is that if you are doing some type of service, sweat of your brow, some type of value generation or some type of service that's going on, and there's something created, even if it's not a physical product, but some type of benefit that's created from that, then the benefit that's been created is the severable item. So here, imagine Peach is on the beach looking at, with the metal detector, and all of a sudden comes across this ruby. Well, the service is, you have the service, and then separate from the service is this ruby that's found, and that is realized because it's a severable event. The ruby is severable from the services that create it. So that's something to take away from this, is that any service that you have, whether it's you're working, or you're building a house, or you find a ruby, that automatically has severance and realization because it's separate from the actual activity. Finally, dominion and control. This is interesting because whenever you have a lost and found type item, right? This is a found ruby. You have to worry about dominion and control. So let's say you find a Rolex in the parking lot of your college or university. And this is a very expensive Rolex. And the moral citizen that you are, you go to the lost and found at the your local colleges or universities police department, and you say, I found this in the parking lot. I'd like to turn it in. Well, they tell you, okay, we're going to put it, leave it here, and after 6 months, if nobody collects this, it's yours. So you found it, right? And you have all these things, but there are strings attached. Because within that 6 months, if somebody comes and takes it and they rightly claim it, then guess what? You don't record it. And the reason for that is because there were strings attached. They had the opportunity, the contingency that they could come and get it. But once the 6 months are up, then guess what? You get it, and now the strings have been, what I like to say, disentangled, or they've been completely destroyed, and now you have the actual item. Well, here, if Peach finds this on the beach, metal detecting, it's very hard to find the original owner. It could have been there for hundreds of years. The original owner could be dead, for all we know. It could have washed up from a shipwreck, and that could have been, back in the 1600s. I live in Florida, and I actually grew up on the Treasure Coast, and we're actually known for having lots of gold and stuff, after hurricanes washes up on shores, people find it, and a lot of times they'll just keep it, and they'll, metal detector will just find it on the, looking for shells. So the issue there is there's not really any strings attached, but you can think of Dominion control when you find something and you turn it in. Dominion control creating an issue. So Dominion control here is not an issue because Peach finds a ruby and there's no strings attached. So we have all three things, but the question really here is the when. Is it year 1 or year 3 that we have to record gross income? And that's a really good question. And there was a case. The case was called Cesarini. Cesarini. And in this case, this was a very old case. Basically, a very old piano was purchased, and the owner actually went to go have it cleaned and repaired, and there was a lot of cash found in the back of this piano. And the question became, should the gross income have been reported when the piano was actually received and no one actually knew about it, or was it in the year it was found? And the answer is actually in the year found. That's when the actual recording should be taking place. So the idea is that if you buy something that does have some type of valuable and you don't know about, should you record it in the year that you purchased or you actually took possession of the item, or in the year you find it? And it's the year that it's found. So here, it's going to be in year 1 when the actual ruby is found. And it's not when the ruby is sold. So what happens in year 1 is Peach has gross income on Peach's tax return of $5,000. In year 3, Peach is going to sell the ruby for $5,000, even though it was appraised at $6,000. There's not going to be any income to Peach. Peach has no income. So that's very important to understand when you're looking at the when question. So whenever you have what we call treasure trove, this applies to treasure trove. The gross income is in the year found, and it's going to be the value when it's found. So it's the value when it's found, fair market value in the year found. So we use the fair market value in the year found. Even though, again, in year 3, the value went up when it was sold. That doesn't make a difference. That does not make a difference. All right? So I hope this helps you understand the idea of treasure trove.